Hello, everyone. I am joined today by Karen Taylor, and I'm really excited to have a conversation with Karen because over the weekend we both attended a timeline therapy training session together, and we worked in the sense that I was the client and Karen was the practitioner, and vice versa. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about our experience of going through this process because I know it's something that's very helpful and it's a conversation that people don't often take a look at. We think that we are the way we are just because that's how things are. And when you start to realize that the way you behave, the way you show up in life, a lot of it actually can be connected to emotions that are stuck in places and then limiting beliefs or limiting decisions that have held you back in the past. So, yeah, I think this will be a really interesting conversation. And I'm excited to hear what shifts you felt since we did the work together. So, thank you for being here, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad you solicited for kind of an impromptu live, and I was available. So this is great.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. And do you work with clients as well? Like, what do you use timeline therapy for? What are you looking to use it for?
I am going to be using it with clients. And I will say, I guess I thought I knew what timeline therapy was, but I think I had a different interpretation of it. It was different than what I thought it was going to be. I didn't understand there was that emotional release component to it. I thought it was strictly kind of around the limiting beliefs. So it was cool to see that it was much more expansive than I thought, and for me to understand how important that emotional release piece really is.
Yeah. And we carry stuff around for a lifetime, right? Until we start to explore and think, okay, why am I behaving the way I am? Why am I responding to things in the way that I am? And it's not about blame at all. And it's not about being broken or being wrong in any way, but it's like, do I want to show up differently? And if I can kind of discover like where the emotions are holding me back or where they're showing up on different layers, it's really cool to see just the change that can happen and that we're capable of when we actually explore these things. So, we did a session together in terms of the limiting belief side of things. And will you share a little bit about like the big things that stood out for you?
Yeah, and I'll share just a little bit about the emotional release piece
Mhm.
as well. And you said lifetimes, that is for sure. Sometimes it's even more than one lifetime.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have done a lot of work on myself, like most of us have. I mean, so many of us have spent a lot of time working on ourselves. And even still, I had big major things that I had still been holding on to. So this work is not it's not like you do this work and then you're done. Like this is something that you can continually revisit, and you should, because new things are going to come up. And so it's kind of like a continuous process of clearing. So for me, I had some big shifts around the emotions of anger
Mhm.
and guilt. And I thought the anger one was going to come up because of some things that I have been working through in my life, but I wasn't prepared for the emotional reaction and release I had around guilt. So that one was a little surprising. So I think it's really informative. I've had a few days to kind of process it, and looking back, and it's making more sense now. The things that shifted, but in our the time that we had together around the limiting beliefs, I had a
Mhm.
major shift around money, and I'm so excited about what that means for me because I have really big plans and really big aspirations about how I want to make an impact in the world and how I want to help. And this money thing has really been perplexing me. And so to be able to release this as we're, going into 2026, and, again, having these big goals, I'm like giddy with excitement because I feel like I have a clean slate.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm going to really be able to launch into this new kind of brand that I'm putting out into the world and the work without without having those, major, limitations and weights holding me back.
Yeah, and it is really exciting, and I love seeing the different layers that come up because I was just at, Master Prac for NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, like, a month ago, if even
Mhm.
that, and there were clear things that cleared there, and that opened the door for different things that cleared on the weekend, which was interesting. And as you mentioned, the I found some interesting stuff too when it came to the emotion side of things because I expected guilt to show up because that's something that I've been working through in different layers, and it actually didn't come up for me. The one that came up was hurt, and I
Mhm.
really didn't expect that one to show up, but what was really cool was we learned different skills and techniques that I hadn't heard before, even though I have been doing this stuff for a while as well. And from the perspective of A, you clear all this stuff and you leave the session and you go out into the world looking through new eyes. And how can you look around you and see things in a different way? And I was like, "Oh, that's a really interesting thing to hear as well." And often I find when I'm working with clients, there can be lots of analytical people that are like, "Oh, I don't know. My conscious mind is really confused. I don't understand what's going on here. You need to slow down. This is like too much for me." And it's realizing that the one line that dropped that I was like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense," was talking around your conscious mind should be confused because the
Mhm.
whole point is not to go in there and logically come with a reason why things are happening and logic your way around it. The logic mind is the conscious mind. The unconscious mind is where all the behavior change and all the magic happens. And so if it's feeling like it's too fast or it's feeling like the conscious mind is confused, that's actually a good thing.
It's working.
Because
It's
the
working.
unconscious mind is like, "I got this. Don't worry." And that was what was interesting for me that came up when I was doing limiting belief stuff with you, is I was like, "I don't even know, like, I'm confused. I don't really know." "Oh, oh, I got it." Like, it was just a really cool thing to be able to just let know that my unconscious mind has got me, and I
Yeah.
don't have to try and power or think my way through things. That was pretty cool to experience, and similar to you, I mean, at Master Prac, I cleared, like, a huge limiting belief around money as well because I was in a job, and in 2016, I was let go from my job, and I had this belief that, like, if I get up really high in terms of success, I'm setting myself up to go through the hurt, there's hurt, of
Hurt. Yeah.
someone pulling the rug out from under me again. And so for both of us over the weekend to be able to, like, clear some of those blocks, it's like we have big dreams and goals, and how many people hold themselves back for reasons that aren't necessarily legit. It's stuff that you could work through and, like, improve your life by letting that go, right? So that was very cool.
And it's so interesting how, we often think like, we know what to attribute it to. But when you really like get into it, because that, our conscious mind can kind of come up with the best guess.
Mhm.
But then when you really go in and you allow your subconscious, to come into the conversation, it's amazing what really comes up. And that's where all the gold is in your subconscious mind. And so, you know, I, we say a lot of things that are surface level. And this kind of came to kind of my first understanding of like how we do this is after my sister passed away in 2019. And I always told her, happiness comes from within. Like I said that to her hundreds of times, probably because she struggled with a lot of different feelings of not being worthy throughout
Yeah.
her life. But after she passed away, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. If I had to explain that to somebody or like share like a process of how you actually do that, I'm like, I have no idea. And so that was the first entry point I had into going into the subconscious and understanding like what the subconscious holds and how we can really get some of these answers to these very surface level things that we throw around that kind of placate and like they make us feel better, I guess, when we say them, but they
Yeah.
don't really mean anything. And so the subconscious truly holds all those answers and the detail, I guess, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, well, it made sense for me, and that's I mean, part of the purpose of sharing this live video, and I've shared a couple of videos with other practitioners that I've worked with as well, is to show you, like, the practitioners are always doing the work as well. If we weren't working through our own crap, how can we show up for clients or for family or for other people that need help and support? And I love how you said it's like the peeling off the layers of the onion, right? Like, things are always going to shift and change, but the whole point is when you have a better understanding of yourself and how to work through things and how to figure out what's actually going on, we can get out of the BS a lot faster rather than just standing in it and being like, "Well, this sucks," and you just stand there in the crap. Or you can kind of like, "Okay, how do I need to what do I need to move forward out of this?" And that's like at subconscious work and hypnosis and NLP and timeline therapy and like all of these tools are incredible and like so many people struggle and it's like you don't have to. There are so many options out there for you. So,
And they work really fast.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
thing. They work really fast, and if you think about I mean, there's times when I, like I've just gotten sick of hearing myself say the same thing, like,
Mhm.
you say the same thing over and over again, and then you're just like, "I'm sick of myself saying this, so everybody else must be really sick of hearing me say it."
Yeah.
Like, I was always, talking about, like, okay, like, my kids make fun of me because I was like, "Okay, guys, like, this is the day, like, this Monday is when I'm gonna change, like, all of my habits around eating. We're only eating healthy food, and, like, I'm gonna work out," and, like, I
Mhm.
said that so many times, they were like, "Here she goes again."
Yeah.
But I had some subconscious, beliefs around love and food. Like that's how I grew up. Like when I grew up, my family definitely demonstrated to me that love was tied to food. And so even though I consciously wanted to lose weight and get healthier and like really make my identity somebody that worked out, subconsciously I was saying no, because if you do that, then that all that love around, eating and food will go away. So it was so interesting to find that's what I mean, like by that detail. Like I wouldn't have come up with that. But subconsciously, the answer was there. And so then it was just a shift of, okay, well, obviously, you can get love without food, right? So, and when you like finally come to like understand what it is, it's funny almost, right? Because I mean, you've spent your whole life like trapped in this story. And then when you really realize like what it is, you're like, well, that's silly. Like, of course, like I can be loved without, it being tied to food. But, back when I was a young girl, it made perfect sense.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's one of the coaches that I've worked with in the past has a great saying that, as human beings, we all make up all kinds of crazy crap in our minds, and we say it to ourselves over and over again all the time, and the problem is we believe it. And so the food thing very much is the case. I mean, I work with MS clients primarily, and so pain can be something that's the same, right? It's like, how is it serving you?
Mm.
And we can look at it and think, that's ridiculous. I'm someone who was diagnosed with MS 20 years ago, and I can look at it now. This some people might not like this comment, but I can look at it now, and it's part of what we talked about on the weekend is like, why was I doing MS? How is that serving me in some way, shape, or form? And I remember when I was a child, it illness brought the family unit together.
Mm.
So for you, food was love. For me, when I was sick, both my parents were there. And so I wasn't consciously creating illness or creating those problems, but I saw in the past that love came from that. And it's like, how can we kind of connect with and ask our unconscious, subconscious mind to find other ways to get the same outcome without the negative not side effects of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's very powerful because we're not consciously doing it. I wasn't consciously getting asthma and then consciously getting
Right.
diagnosed with a critical illness. My unconscious was like, I need to be safe. I need to make sure that you have what you need, you're getting your needs met, and so health problems did that for me. And so for you, eating food did that for you. And it's such a common thing with so many people that are like, "I'm trying everything, nothing is working." There's something underneath that needs to be kind of rearranged, and then, like, crazy stuff starts to happen, which is very cool.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I know oftentimes people say, well, how will I know, what these subconscious patterns are? And it's like, well, kind of look at your life, look at your reality. What are the areas, like you said, that you want something different? You may be, meditating and, doing manifestation practices and doing all the things, but still you're not seeing the result. And really good indication that there's some subconscious things that need to be shifted because our
Mhm.
subconscious is just taking orders and it wants us to be happy and safe and protect us. And so when
Yep.
we like a long time ago gave it the instruction, when I'm in pain, that means love, then it's like, got it. And it just went to
Mhm.
work to bring us those experiences over and over and over again. And so now it's just a matter of kind of untangling and unpacking some of those things, because it will take instructions to, go get the experiences that match the life that we really desire to. It's not biased that way. It won't work on either way, right? Either the limitations or the empowering beliefs. And we just kind of have to step back in, and it's so empowering. I think that's what I love about this work is, it can be really easy, like as things happen to you in your life, to blame, different people or circumstances. And this work really shifts that accountability to you, that this is my life. I have complete ownership of it. And when you have complete ownership of something, then that means you get to change it, which is really
Yeah.
empowering. And so I know some people don't, maybe shy away from, well, I don't want to take ownership because that person was, this way. And it doesn't make you at fault, or you're not to
Mhm.
blame, right? But it's really impossible to be empowered when you're really giving power to somebody else.
Exactly, exactly. It's like handing the remote control outside of you and letting the other people or the other things around you that you're putting the blame on, like, control you completely. I mean, that was definitely with my health journey. I was like, blame, blame, blame outside, blame God, the universe, my family, medicine, all of the different things. And when I was doing that, that means the solution has to come from outside as well.
Right.
And so medicine didn't do it for me, and then raising money for the societies that, help you didn't do it for me, and when I started to realize, "Wait a minute, okay, how did I contribute to this? What are the changes that I can make in myself? Wait a oh, okay, I could take my power back." And that's such a beautiful piece of anything when it comes to weight, relationships, your finances, your business, like everything around you. We look at stuff and we're like, well, this sucks. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, how can you start to like take back control and move towards better things for yourself? It's pretty awesome to really explore that.
It really is. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to get triggered. I think when I first did this work, I was like, oh, great. Now I'm just going to go into the world and everything's going to be great and nothing's ever going to upset me. And it's like first minute something triggered me. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not that you're never going to be triggered. It's just how you respond is going to be different. And each
Mhm.
time, I mean, there's still things, like it's never ending. I mean, this work is continuous for sure. Even for those of us that are actually, utilizing it and helping other people, to help change their lives, it's a continuous thing. Like now there's things that still trigger me. It's just I become aware of them much more quickly. And I kind of just work through, what was that about? And I ask some reflective questions. I always kind of put myself in a timeout for a few minutes, and then I'm like, okay, now just back on track, and I think it's just a constant recalibration back to center is kind of how it feels. But these tools really help you do that much more quickly, because in the past, something would trigger me and I could spiral for months,
Yeah.
right? And that just isn't, yeah, that's just not a way that I want to live. And I really think I finally like clicked for me that painful things are going to happen, hard things are going to happen in life, but suffering really is optional. And
Mhm.
sometimes suffering is going to happen, like, especially, I've worked with grief a lot, and there's a period of time after you lose somebody that you love that you're going to be in suffering. And
Mhm.
that's just part of loving, right? When we love, we know that we're risking that hurt and that pain, that suffering when we lose that. But that's a part of the process. It's not your new identity and it's not your new life, right? And so I do think suffering is optional after a certain point.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, wins from clients that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of my clients seem to be um, women who had unresolved issues with their moms.
Mhm.
And it was really impacting. Like they knew at that level that there was something there, but they weren't really sure, what it was attributed to.
Yep.
And so working through the processes, they really were able to, again, kind of come to that understanding of, our parents were doing the very best that they could with what they knew. And I think that
Mhm.
is true. I do believe that to be true. Certainly there are some people that probably are the exception to that, but for the most part, I think that we can agree that most people are doing the best that they can. If they could do better, they would, right?
Yep.
And so really working on, again, that self accountability and forgiveness, and looking at their parents as, people that were just doing their best, and they were probably very hurt, in the past, and didn't have the tools and the frameworks and the emotional regulation to help them either. And so it was really interesting to see each of those women just shift that belief and how much that changed their empowerment and how they were
Yep.
showing up in life. And so, um, like, one of them got out of a very toxic relationship that she kept going back to over and over and over again. Because when you
Mhm.
make that one, right, it's like a domino effect. When you make that one change, then
Yep.
everything else starts to kind of change down the line. And so
So
it's
true.
kind of like getting to that core. A lot of times it's about getting to that core belief that needs to be transformed, and
Mhm.
then all these other things start to fall into place. Another one was a woman who was trying to to release a lot of weight, and she also had some unresolved issues from her past with her mom. And once she released those, everything, she's like, I don't understand. She's like, what does one thing have to do with the other? And I'm like, right. It seems unrelated, but actually it's a lot more connected than we really understand.
Yeah,
Those are
it's
cool
so
examples.
it's so true. It's interesting because that you said about people like, you often see people who have there's something with the mother because I work with a lot of MS clients, something that I see come up over and over and over again, and actually the holistic psychologist talked about it a while ago and talking about how MS has a connection that she's seen with the parentified daughter.
Mm,
So the daughter that had to take on a lot of responsibility from a young age. I always say the latchkey kids, but it's not really a phrase now, but yeah, the kids that had to other siblings were their responsibility or doing more things around the house, or there was disconnect in the family unit, and from a young age, there's this feeling of, "I don't feel safe here. How am I gonna survive this?" And so the nervous system is up here, while the immune system starts to mirror that as well, and so that can end up in stuff too, and it's realizing that, yes, your parents were doing the best they could, same thing, with the skills, with the resources that they had at the time, with the awareness and understanding that they had too, and it's like, how can you shift that and start to do something different so that the nervous system can start to come back to a place of feeling safe, and the body can kind of calm down and not hyperreact to everything. So it's very interesting the stuff that happens. This one's a little bit different, but I had a client recently, went through cancer, went through chemotherapy, and was dealing with some neuropathy, some nerve pain in her feet. And we did a timeline, well, timeline kind of. We did some emotion clearing for this client and then some other NLP stuff. And she's like, it's so crazy. You didn't give me anything. And like, the nerve pain is gone. Like, how does this happen? But the body is willing to respond to these things, and sometimes pain as well. It can be like it served a purpose at some point, and so the body's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna keep firing off this pain signal, but it's not useful anymore." And so how can we kind of change things so it doesn't keep doing that? So there's so many things you can do when you work with the subconscious, the unconscious mind, and it's just very cool to see all of the transformations that can happen for people, and I love what you said about how it's, like, really fast. It can happen, right?
yeah.
Because like, I was trained as a nutritionist, and so I used to work with clients, nutrition clients, and I could give them a perfect meal plan, and if it sat on their shelf and they didn't use it, they didn't get results, and it's like, is there something in your subconscious, unconscious mind, like you said, where you make a little shift and all of a sudden they're just acting differently, responding differently, right?
Well, it's like what you said about seeing the world through new eyes. And so coming out of, so we had our session, we had our training on Saturday and half a
So
day on Sunday.
yeah.
So I guess kind of, half a day on Sunday, a lot of processing was happening. Um, then today, I was in another training session with Enter the Loop. So learning that methodology.
Mhm.
And we were doing practice like we were today. And something came up for me that I really feel like really came from the work that we did over the weekend, because I don't think I would have had this aha if I hadn't cleared the
Oh,
stuff
cool.
over the weekend. But today, what I realized was I value simplicity and I value clarity. And
Mhm.
a lot of the relationships, work, personal, that I've had in my life were not that. They were more chaotic.
Yep.
And I realize now that when I'm in that kind of dynamic, my nervous system goes haywire, because my one of my core values is simplicity and harmony. And um, kind of less is more, although I did some work on that after the session, because I'm like, I don't want to be putting less out into the universe, right? Like, I don't want to,
Yep.
right? Because I'm, all about attracting abundance too. So, but it's really kind of that refined clarity that, where, a lot of coaches will just give the clients everything. Like, here's everything I know over the past 10 years. Like, you can have it all, because the more I give you, the more valuable that makes me.
Yep.
And that's a belief that I have held subconsciously
Mhm.
for a long time. And what I'm now seeing is I just want to give clients like exactly what they need. And if that's three things, perfect. But I don't want to give them more, because we're already overwhelmed all the time with so much
Oh,
stuff
totally.
coming at us. So it feels like a gift. It feels very rare to be able to just deliver exactly what someone needs. And that's the kind of coaching that I want to give. Like, that is a philosophy of my coaching. And that just became very clear to me today. And I don't think I would have gotten that if we hadn't done the work over the weekend. So my mind
Very
has really kind of been blown over the last 3 days.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of the methodology that I look at things too. It's like, how can I do the least intervention for the biggest like outcome,
Yes.
the most value for the client? Because yeah, if you can go and buy this program online and there's like 880 hours worth of videos and trainings and whatever, I like shut down when there's too much. I'm like, nope, can't do it. So yeah, no, it's understanding how you operate is another beautiful part of using NLP, using timeline therapy as well, because it's like figuring out your system. Some people want that. They're like, "I want the all the bells and whistles program." And it's like, "Okay, figure out what's the best for you and then find something that aligns with that," right?
Yeah, it's all about alignment. And that's, I think, the other thing that, we all are probably working on at some level is
Mhm.
we don't have to be everything to everyone. Like, it's okay if some people don't resonate with you. It's okay if some people don't like you. Like, that's all okay.
Yeah.
And actually
Yeah.
great. Like, when you're out, actually trying to attract the right clients for you, it's really helpful to know which ones aren't going to be aligned. And so I think,
Mhm.
being very, forward with, like, my messaging is going to be very much about like this. If you're looking for all the things, like, that's, you're not going to find that with me, but there'll be coaches that will give you that, like,
Mhm.
and being okay with that. And again, I think that's just, as we grow, like you said, we just get to know ourselves more and more. And my, behind me, it says Atmology, which is the name of my coaching business, which means the study of one's true self,
Nice.
because that's, I think, what we're really all here to do, is really to know who are we really, and then just finding ways to align to that. It feels like that's the game we're playing here on earth.
Yeah. Interesting. My business is called Aligned.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for this conversation. It's been great, and hopefully everyone watching has gotten value from this. Is there anything you'd like to leave, any last kind of bit of wisdom you'd like to leave?
I would just say, as we're kind of, rolling into a new year, really think about this because I know, many of us, we do the intentions, we do the New Year's resolutions, and most of the time that doesn't work.
Mhm.
Because again, we're consciously thinking of what we want, but if we have anything subconsciously that, is in opposition to that, then we're just going to sabotage. So if you're thinking about things you really want to accomplish going into the new year, I would highly encourage you to look at doing that work through your subconscious because it will be easier and it will be more effective. So that's what I have.
Absolutely, I agree. And if you'd like to connect with Karen, I'll make sure to tag you in this video so you can do that. And also, if you're curious about this ability to step into the week looking through new eyes, looking at the world through new eyes and seeing what you can see. If you're someone who has tried all the things and you're like, nothing is working for me, I've been there in the past, reach out because like I don't know about you, I offer like a free consultation at the beginning to figure out what's going on with you and if we're the right fit to work together. Be more than happy to do that with you, because you don't have to just keep struggling. You don't have to stay in a place where you just feel like this sucks. Nothing's working for me. I don't know. There's nothing out there for me. There is. So if this is interested in you in you at all, interested anyways, you at all, um, reach out to myself, reach out to Karen, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, your week, and we are rolling into the new year. So if you'd like some help and guidance to help make 2026 your best year yet, definitely reach out. Thank you again for being here with me today, Karen. It's been
Thanks, Kate.
wonderful,
That's
and I
great.
can't wait to hear what else comes up for you.
Yes, same.